What is up, guys? My name's Tsunamods and welcome back to modding FF7. Now, it came to my attention recently that I have made a lot of videos about how to create your own mods, but I've never actually made a video to show you exactly how to use them. So that is what today's video is going to be about. So, we are going to start off right at the beginning with the whole process of installing the game from scratch. Now, there are three types of versions of the PC version of Final Fantasy VII, and it does kind of have to be the PC version. You can, to an extent, mod the PS1 version if you use an emulator, but it's a lot more difficult and a lot less rewarding. So there are, like I said, there are three different versions. There's the original 1998 release, which I am currently using. There is the re-release in 2012, and there is the Steam version. Now, I can only show you through video how to do the 98 original version, as I do not own the other two. But I will find some screenshots and I will post them in the video where they are needed to try and help you work out exactly how to use the other versions. Okay, so once the install has popped up, we can click next on the first box. It doesn't mean anything to us. We will not be needing the drivers as this game is from 98 and I'm fairly certain my PC is a bit more up to date than that. And then we are prompted with these two options right here, the maximum install and the standard install. Now, it is very important that you choose the maximum install because this will give us all the files that are accessible. It will give us all the files we need to be able to make modifications to the game itself, whereas the standard install will give you what you need for the game to run, and that is it. So, like I said, is 100% crucial maximum install on all three versions. We're going to click next again, and then it'll give us the destination folder. Now, it is very important, again, do not install your game inside the program files, whether they be the 86 version or the normal version. It cannot be in there because administrator privileges stop you being able to mod the game. So the way I get around this personally is inside my C drive, I have a folder I made called Games, and I install all of my games inside this folder. And today is going to be no different. So I'm going to install here, C drive, Games, Final Fantasy VII, and we're going to click OK, and yes. So next, and the program folder does not matter, and that is the game now installing. Now, you can install the game anywhere on your PC, providing it is not inside the program files. Now, I know this is a little more difficult on Steam because it uses its own Steam common folder thing. I'll put up the screenshots now for the other two versions of the game. Hopefully these will help you a little bit. Again, the description will have a link for this tutorial anyway, so if you cannot find a way to do it, then hopefully they will have your answer. Okay, so back to our version. We have our Final Fantasy VII setup notice, blah blah blah, not important, click OK. We can close this, and we can also close the notepad. So now the game is officially installed and ready to be played, but it is not mod ready just yet. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our Google Chrome, and we're going to go to a forum named the Quim Forums. Now on here you'll find an excessive amount of mods for Final Fantasy VII, 8, a couple for 9, and I think that's about it, but I'm not too sure. But it is the best forum I've ever come across for modding Final Fantasy VII. Instead of just clicking on my little taskbar thing here, I'm going to show you exactly where I'm going to get the things that you're going to be needing. And I'm going to search for Quim 7th Heaven. Now, what 7th Heaven is it is a mod manager. And this is better than any previous ways of using mods for Final Fantasy VII. For instance, back in the day, we would use the bootleg. If any of you are still using the bootleg, I'm really unsure as to why you're still using it. It was absolutely horrible. It had a good amount of configuration options, but it took about an hour to finish, and everything you did was permanent. Other than that, you may have used the Reunion or the New Threat, which came with the exe installer. Again, is fairly annoying because once it's on, it's on. You have to reinstall the game entirely to be able to get rid of that mod, and if you want to install other things over the top of it, it could mess up, and it's just not a good idea. So you can see where I'm going here. 7th Heaven is a mod manager, which will allow you to turn mods on and off at will, so you will never break your game, and everything is temporary. So if you do not like a mod you've started to use, you can just turn it off again. So this is the page with all of the tutorial stuff. They have their own video tutorial here. which I personally don't like too much. There is the frequently asked questions right here, so anything that you're going to need if I don't fix your problems with this video, you'll probably find in here. So I'm going to scroll down. You'll find the screenshots here to the other two versions that I will have shown in the video earlier. And if I scroll down a little bit more, we reach step 1. So the first step is we're going to need to use the FF7 game converter, and this will patch the game to be able to use mods. So I'm going to click download here and move on to the next one. We also need a blank ISO. I'm going to download that, and a little bit further down we also need the Seventh Heaven program itself. Now I will explain to you exactly what these things do as we go through and use them, so you have a good idea of what you're downloading. So now that we have all three downloaded, I'm going to right click and show in folder. So we start with the FF7 game converter. You must right click this and run as administrator. If you do not run this as administrator, it will not work. This will be red and it will fail and it will shout at you and it'll just complain. So just don't do it. Okay, so the first thing it's going to ask you is where your game is installed. Now for me, I'm lucky enough, it says installation path found at C Drive Games Final Fantasy VII, which is fantastic. But not everybody will have had it as easy as I have right here, unless you've copied me properly. That would be fantastic. But if you do have an issue where it says not located, then the best thing you can do is, say for example, if I right click this, you'll go to your Final Fantasy VII folder. Find your FF7 EXE, right click it, go to properties, and right here in location, you can highlight this, copy it, go into the command prompt, and you will be able to press Ctrl and V to paste. And that will allow you to paste the location in here, and just make sure that you have a parentheses on both sides of your destination, otherwise it will not work. So once you have your destination ready, you're going to click enter, and it's going to begin patching. It will now ask me for the FF7 disk. Even if you have the Steam version, it will ask you for the disk, which obviously you do not have, which is why this is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my FF7 disk 1 and my 7th Heaven folder. I'm going to copy them, and I am going to go to my games folder, Final Fantasy VII, and I'm going to paste them right here. So now my FF7 disk 1 is right here. Now, the reason we need this, like I said, is so the game doesn't ask you for the disk when you play it. It will trick the game into thinking you have the disk, and the easiest way to do this is to use a program named Daemon tools, or anything else that is similar that will allow you to use a virtual CD drive. There are a few out there, but I find Daemon tools Lite is the best way to go. I will leave the link in the description for it. It is completely free. When you install it, it'll say, do you want to buy the real version or use a free trial? And it turns out that the free trial never runs out anyway, so I don't know why people buy it. I've been using this for years, and my free trial is still not run out, so it's great. So I do advise using Daemon Tools Lite, and once you've got that done, now I'll be able to double click it, and there we go. It has mounted the fake FF7 Disk 1. Now this has literally nothing in it. It's a text document that is empty. So you can see it's literally fake. It's just to trick the game. So now that is mounted, we will be able to go in here, and we will be able to click enter, and it has detected that the drive is there. Fantastic. Now you will need to leave this disk in permanently. Every time you play this game, it will look for the disk in my D drive, because that's where it was when I clicked enter. If you ever unmount this disk and mount it again, if it is not on the D drive, the game will ask you for your disk. So if you do have that problem, your solution is to either try and get it back into the D drive, or to run the converter a second time and it will use the new one. Now, it has detected my original release, and it claims a movies folder has been placed into my data folder of the game directory. It hasn't. You do have to go and make that yourself. It is kind of annoying. But what can you do about it? So we're going to go to our FF7 folder, we're going to right click, new folder, and we're going to name it movies. Make sure there is no capital M. Back into here, and we are going to click I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can just select this, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and go. Movie path not found. Great. Oh no, I know why. Okay, I'm an idiot. I didn't put Final Fantasy VII, like the number 7. I used 7 as in VII. So there you go, guys. There is how to avoid stupid mistakes like myself. But anyway, once you've clicked enter, this configuration window will come up. You can ignore all 3 of these tabs, the current settings, the graphics, and the MIDI. All you're going to have to do is go to your sound and make sure that the sound device that it is using is the one that you want the game sound to come through. So I'm going to click test. It is coming through my headset, which is fantastic. That's exactly where I need it. And I can click OK. Now, if you ever need to change your sound device, you will need to run the converter again and change it that way. For instance, if I wanted to play this game in a few hours' time and I wanted the sound to come through my TV, I can't just unplug my headset and have the sound come through the TV because the game will not work. You must run the converter a second time. Now, once that is finished, it will ask you about the laptop keyboard patch. Now, what this does is, if you remember, there are a lot of laptops, maybe not so much now, but there are a lot of laptops that do not have a numpad. The game's original controls are all based on the numpad. So if you have a keyboard or a laptop that does not have a numpad, then you want to choose yes. And this will change all of your controls to use the likes of Z, X, C, V, B, and maybe the arrow keys and stuff like that. But if you do have a numpad, you do not need to install it. You still can if you wish to, but there's no need, so I am going to click no. And that is it finished. Press enter to continue. Okay, so now the game is ready to use mods. So this 7th Heaven folder right here, this compressed zip, which hopefully you have copied me, you've put it in your folder, which now has a lot more extra stuff in it. I'm going to right click it, oh, no, not extract all. I'm going to go to 7-zip and extract to 7th Heaven 1.54. Inside here, I'm going to double click 7th Heaven. No settings configured, try to auto-detect sensible settings. We're going to click yes, and we are going to set up subscription links with Windows. We'll get an error. I'm not sure if I am the only one getting this error, but if you do, it's absolutely fine. Do not worry about it. Now, most of these will have already changed to what you want them to be, which is perfectly fine. The only thing that I do different is the library location. I like to have mine in /mods/7th Heaven. Oops, that's not what I want copied. My keyboard doesn't have a / for some reason. It's rather annoying. Mods/7th Heaven. So then it is in the same place as the mods/textures. It keeps it nicer, it keeps it clean, and it's much easier to use. You do not have to do this, of course, but I do, you know, so just put it wherever you feel. All this will do is it's where your mods save and where it will read them from. Okay, so the next thing is the subscriptions box over here on the right. Now we need to go back to our web page here, scroll down a little, and you will find the subscriptions option right here. We are going to highlight all of this. We're going to copy it and paste it inside the subscriptions box. And this will allow us to download all of the mods from the internet. Okay. So now I should be able to go onto my catalog, click search, and all the available mods will appear in a nice list, which is extremely handy. Now from personal experience, I know because of the error I got when I opened this, once I finish downloading this mod, it will crash. But the mod still downloads, it works perfectly fine, and I see no reason for the crash whatsoever, so let's give it a go. Let's see if today is my lucky day and it just doesn't happen. No, today is actually my lucky day. You guys are a lucky chap. Awesome. Okay, so I've downloaded that one, and I'm also going to choose to download the avatars and backdrops, as well as the tweaks and cheats. This way I can give you a good look of exactly what's going on. Okay, so now they are finished downloading. I'm going to go to the workshop and the OpenGL driver configuration. Now there's a few things in here that we're going to have to do. Once you've done everything in here, chances are you will never have to mess with it ever again. And I'll explain what these things do. Now, the top two here, the window size X and Y. This is for if you're playing the game in windowed mode. What size would you like the window to be? So just for a test, I am going to go ahead and, you know what, I'll make it 1920 by 1080 because why not? The internal size, which has put its own numbers in, which coincidentally just happens to be the same numbers that the tutorial says. So if your numbers are already like this, then fantastic. I advise leaving them that way. If they are not like this, then I advise putting these numbers in just in case. So back into here. The option at the bottom, full screen, is pretty self-explanatory. If this is ticked, the game will be full screen. If it is not ticked, it will not be full screen. Onto the graphics tab, the preserve aspect. It will stretch the game to be a 16:9 resolution instead of the 4:3, so you will not have the black bars on the left and the right side of the screen. It will cause a little bit of stretching to the graphics, but not so much that I find it noticeable. You may be different. You may like to keep it the way it is. It is entirely up to yourself. Dialog boxes makes all boxes transparent. I personally do use this. The linear filter and the post-processing, you can choose whether or not to use these yourself. The rendering, VSync I tend not to use. This, it seems to make my PC lag. It may or may not for you. But if you are experiencing an awful lot of lag, this may be the reason. New timer I do suggest using. It does replace the clock in the top left corner. For instance, the escape from the Maker reactor, it will make it fit nicer. It's just highly recommended to use. Texture memory, I have mine on 768. Texture cache I have off. Pixel buffer I have off. And I don't remember my exact settings off by heart because this is a brand new setup. But you can mess around with it yourself and decide what it is you would like to use. As for the audio tab, leave this on VGM stream. Do not mess with this at all. It will not work if you mess around with that. Okay, so the game is now mod ready. Once you have downloaded the mods you'd like to use, you may go to your library tab and click search, and you will find all the mods that you have downloaded. And if you wish to use these mods, you can click activate, and I will get an error. You may or may not, but it's not actually an error. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. If I go back into my library, click search and activate it, this time it's absolutely fine. So I don't know what that error is. But I'm going to activate all three of these mods. So these are now in the active mods tab. There is something you can do to make this a little quicker. If you go to your workshop and settings, you can tick the automatically activate new mods. So anytime you download a new mod, it will just turn itself on into the active mods tab. If you don't want it to be on, you can just simply click the deactivate option right here. I would also recommend ticking the check for updates to 7th Heaven automatically. Now, as of right now, it will ask me if I want to update 7th Heaven to 1.55, and I will click no to that option if I was to restart this. Like so. We're going to click no to this because as a player of mods, it makes absolutely no difference to your gameplay whatsoever, but it does have issues that can crash the game. So I do recommend just clicking no. It will not make any difference to your life whatsoever. So what I'm going to be using is I'm going to use the reunion and, the because mod and the menu overhaul mod from here. On the tweaks and cheats, I'm just going to have skip cutscenes so we don't have to sit and watch the intro scene. And I am going to change Cloud to use the Milo Leonhardt. The prelude credits can be Grimmies, and the start menu can stay as a gold hit buster. Okay. Now, there are a few things to take into mind. Depending on which mods you are using, it will affect what exe you should be using. It is here somewhere. Right here, there we go. So if you were using the menu overhaul, you should use FF7 mo.exe. If you have because on as well, use the bc, or just because, use the bc.exe. Or if you have both of them on, use bc.exe as well. Now, there is no harm I found in using bc anyway, even if you only use the menu overhaul. But I would advise following this over my own tutorial, to be fair, because they invented this program to begin with. So we're going to go to Workshop and Settings, and see here where it says FF7EXE. I'm going to click this little box here to browse, and I'm going to choose bc.exe. Now, when I click Launch Game, I'll hear a little beep to tell me that the game is mod ready. There it is. And now the game should load perfectly fine with new mods. There we go. Alright, so you see everything has now changed. Now there are a few errors that may happen, and I'm going to try and get those errors deliberately. Okay, so here's one. This is because I chose the wrong movies thing. Now there is a few easy fixes to this. As you can hear, the game is playing, the sound is there, but the screen has not loaded because the movie wasn't there for the game to load. So the first box is going to pop up, I'm going to close the box, and now I'm going to open the menu, and our graphics will come back. Now here you can see that this is the menu overhaul mod. It looks absolutely fantastic. We have our new avatar, and everything is much sleeker looking. I'm going to run up ahead and show you that the battle interface has changed from the original FF7 to a newer FF9 style fight. Okay, so we're going to close this for now. Now, I'm not 100% sure exactly how to change, how to get the movies to work properly if you mess up like I did. But the best way I can think of is if you go to the catalog and click search, you will find a mod here, Media Movies. You can download this. It is 4.8 gigs, so it is huge in size and may take you a little while. And that should fix your issue. If by any chance that does not fix your issue, the best thing you can do is if you go to Workshop and pack/unpack IRO archives, go to the Unpack IRO tab, Source IRO, you're going to browse, you're going to go to where your mods are installed, so mine is Mods 7th Heaven, and you'll find here, I have the 3 mods here with a load of crap at the beginning, and then their real names. So as an example, I'll take this one, but in your case, this will be the Movies mod, okay? Make sure it's the Movies mod. The destination folder, I'll create a new folder here, click OK and go, and what this will do is it will extract that mod into the new folder, so everything is here. So then once you have your movies there, you should have maybe 3 options or 3 different styles of movie. You'll open one of them, you'll copy all of the movies, and then you'll go into local disk, C drive, games, Final Fantasy VII, into your movies folder, and you'll paste all your movies in here. And that will 100% fix the problem. It does take time, it is annoying, but it works, and that is the thing that is the most important. Now, there is one other error that I'm going to talk about that a lot of people seem to encounter. I myself encountered it for a very, very long time, and it took me also a very long time to figure out why it was happening. If I go to my FF7 BC, I go to Properties and Compatibility. I'm going to untick this, because originally I believe it is meant to be unticked, and you'll see what difference this makes. So if I click Launch Game now, there are 2 different variations of an error that this will give you. It will either give you a huge screen like so. I can only see a quarter of the screen here, which obviously is no good. You cannot play like this. Or it will give you the it will show the whole screen, but it will be in a tiny little box in the top left. Now, activating this box will fix both of these issues. So what you do is you go to the exe that you're using, you right click and go to Properties, Compatibility, and tick the Override High DPI Scaling. If it does not say Override High DPI Scaling, you'll find something with the letters DPI in, and that is your solution. I believe this happens because the internal resolution in the OpenGL here is huge. If I change that to 1920 by 1080, it might fix the problem too, but I just leave the resolution the way it is, and everybody else seems to as well, and it works perfectly fine. As long as you followed this tutorial exactly the way that I've showed you, you should be in a position where you'll be able to play with mods easily right now. I can't think of any problems that would just hit you for no reason at all. But if you do encounter any more problems, please do leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can with the best answer that I can. And if this video did help you, or you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, and also make sure you hit that subscribe button with notifications on so you can keep up to date with everything that is going on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video.